Hi, my name's Juliet, and today I'm talking about section types and section layouts in the General Non-Fiction template in Scrivener 3 for Windows. I'm going to largely treat this as if you haven't watched any of the fiction template videos, and therefore I might be covering some of the same ground. This template is intended for use as a general non-fiction manuscript format, which could be a submission format with extra spacing and contact details, and for use as a paperback and ebook format for non-fiction books. So don't be fooled by the template image. This isn't just meant for submissions. This you can see by simply looking at the compiled templates. You have two specific project formats for non-fiction manuscripts, and several specific outlines. Plus you have the standard paperback formats. Here I have a simple mock-up of what your binder might look like for a non-fiction book. First, we need to look at section types and some of the problems you might come across depending on which output you require. This is much more complicated for non-fiction. What is a section type? A section type is how you categorize the individual document or folder within your manuscript. It is used to define the format used when compiling your manuscript into a printable document, or book, or ebook, so is an essential part of formatting. You can find section types in the inspector under the label icon. All documents and folders are automatically assigned a section type depending on the structure of your manuscript, but you can change these. Let's look at the individual items in the binder. Chapter folders have been assigned as chapter heading. Subsections of the chapter are assigned subheading. Next level down is section. All good so far. Now let's look at the third subsection, which I have given a further subsection. That is selected as subheading, the same as section. This will almost certainly need to be changed, and its subsection might also need to be changed, depending on what formatting you require for the text. Now, before we look at how to change the section types and the possible requirement to create new ones, I want to show you the section layouts in the compile screen, so that you can get a better idea of how these will look. Each section type is assigned its own default section layout, which defines the formatting, and these are found in the central panel of the compile screen. I'm going to bring up all the section types to give the full picture. To understand these formats, you need to know that for any section layout that has a numbered chapter, part, etc., this is done automatically. Anything that says section title is taking the text from the folder or document it is applied to in the binder. Most of your chapter and section headings, I imagine, are likely to be the latter. As you scroll down the section layouts on the right, with a section type highlighted on the left, you'll see one is highlighted. This is the default for that section type. Section layouts for different kinds of documents will not be the same. If I cancel out to the main screen, in the central panel you can see the ones that are currently being used in your manuscript according to the defaults. Now, you are not stuck with the default section layouts. You can select any other section layout to go with your section type, depending on your preferences. Although I imagine for the simple manuscript template, that will be close to the standard formatting for any submissions. Before doing anything with section types and section layouts, I would suggest you go through your manuscript and decide what you want your section layouts to look like. Also, bear in mind that ebook formats are much less flexible, and you won't be able to do so much with them. I'll be doing a video on options for this soon. For example, if each chapter has a custom title and introductory paragraph, Before you divide the text into subcategories, you will probably want to pick a section layout that has a section title with the text beneath it. If you want your chapters automatically numbered, with a custom title beneath them but no text, you'll need a chapter, section title, section layout format. Once you've done that for all the levels of your manuscript, sort out your section types. You should have a different one for each kind of section layout you've defined. I would name each section type to clearly indicate what level of heading and text you're talking about, rather than using the standard ones, so that when you go into section layouts, you know what you're selecting, because I doubt that the defaults are going to work perfectly for you. So, for example, if you wanted a subsection title and text, you could put something like subsec L2 plus text. If you wanted them separate, you could have subsec L2 title and subsec L2 text. To edit the layouts, go to the section type pull-down and select Edit. Here you can double-click on a heading to change its name, or add and delete using the icons underneath the box. You are only changing them in this project, so you won't affect anything else. Then go through your document and reassign them as necessary to the items in your binder. To change multiple binder items at once, select them in the binder, right-click, select section type and click on the one you want. Then go into Compile and choose the appropriate section layout for the output file you require. You'll need a different one for each layout. Be careful when choosing these, as some of them have a page break before them. You only want to use those ones for chapters. Then do a test compile to see if it looks how you thought it would. To do that, just press the Compile button, name your file and open it. If you don't want to compile straight away, be sure to save your changes by pressing Alt so that the Compile button changes to Save. Otherwise you'll lose all the changes on exit. What should you do if there isn't a suitable format for the layout you want, or you want to change one? Well, then you're going to have to edit the format or add new ones. These other videos, based around the fiction formats, should set you on the right track for that. Or you can wait for the ebook formatting video I mentioned earlier. Thanks for watching, and if you've subscribed, I'll see you again next time.